Yumna Saluji, a South African woman, couldn't wait to adopt a pet. When she set her eyes on the most adorable little Alaskan Malamute dog, she knew he was the one and couldn't wait to bring him home. She always wanted a furry companion to call her very own best friend and was excited at the prospect of providing a loving home for a special little puppy. After a few months, Yumna started noticing a drastic transformation in her beautiful pooch, which left her totally baffled. Watch here to find out what Yumna discovered after deciding to adopt her Malamute puppy. Usually, one of the biggest factors people take into account when choosing to adopt a pet is the size of the animal. In 2014, Yumna Saluji from South Africa knew she wanted to adopt a dog, but size wasn't something she really pondered over, not until something quite interesting and unexpected happened. She would have been happy with just about any kind of dog. Big pets are fun to have around, but come with slightly more challenges and responsibilities. They require significantly more space and can be hard to handle at times. Small pets, on the other hand, are more convenient and easier to groom for the most part. Nevertheless, some people just want more to hug and cuddle with, so a bigger dog seems fun. Ultimately, it's a personal choice depending on what you are looking for in an animal. For one woman in particular, she had her eyes set on a cute little puppy. Yumna had made the decision that it was time to finally make her dream come true, take the leap and adopt a pet. She had been dreaming about it for quite a while and had her heart set on getting a puppy because all she ever wanted was a furry best friend by her side all the time. Not only that, she finally felt ready to take on the responsibility of looking after a pooch companion. So out she went to find the dog of her dreams. Also, if you have not done so already, please subscribe to our channel and click that notification bell to get inspired by these animal stories every day. Now back to the story. It did not take too much searching before she stumbled across her soon-to-be best friend, an irresistible little ball of fluff that was an Alaskan Malamute. The dog was just a little furball at the time, and it was impossible to imagine how much the puppy would grow. Nonetheless, Yumna had met the pup of her dreams and realized that her life was going to change for good, in more ways than she expected. Yumna was absolutely ecstatic to be able to finally adopt a pet. The fact that the lucky pet would be her very first dog made it even more exciting for her. The process required a bit of searching, but once she laid her eyes on the cutest little Alaskan Malamute puppy she had ever seen, her heart melted on the spot. As soon as Yumna locked eyes with the cute and fluffy Malamute, she knew that he was the right dog for her. "I fell in love the second I held him," she told the dodo. When she first picked him out, he was only 2 weeks old. Since he was so young, the dog still needed time to nurse from his mother. For that reason, Yumna had to wait a few weeks before she could bring him home. She could hardly wait for the day to come, and she was incredibly surprised when the day finally came. After weeks of waiting to see her precious new pup, the day finally came when she could pick up her new fur baby. He had already grown quite a bit since the last time she saw him. Yumna had already chosen a name for him, Titus. The name means Great Giant Warrior, and it was extremely popular in ancient Rome, named after a local king. This little dog just had to be destined for great things. Small and fluffy pooch, he was incredibly lovable and friendly from the get-go, and he already knew he was boss. Nonetheless, Yumna knew what she was getting into when she adopted an Alaskan Malamute. She wasn't particularly looking for a small dog breed and was fully aware that Titus would grow bigger as he got older. The breed typically grows to quite a substantial size, but as she would soon find out, Titus was more special than other Malamutes. As soon as Titus was brought home for the first time, he managed to settle in quite quickly. He was lavished with an array of toys, had a comfy new bed, plenty of food, and tons of attention around the clock in his new loving home. Right off the bat, Titus discovered his natural love of running around and frolicking in the grass with his toys like nobody's business. He had so much open space in his new home. As he grew, he would definitely need it. This cute Alaskan Malamute was the little king of the household now, and he loved all the joy he was getting at the new home. The little rascal loved to play with Yumna and made tons of human friends when Yumna's friends and family came over to visit. He was such an active and affectionate puppy that he needed lots of attention. Fortunately, all those who met him were glad to give this growing dog what he wanted. Pictured here is Titus when he was around 8 weeks old. He couldn't have been more adorable. As he explored and learned about the world around him, he discovered his favorite games and seemed to be trying to master the art of playing soccer. Moreover, he made the perfect dog model, always willing to pose for the camera with his photogenic furry face and funny antics. The moment Titus was welcomed into his new home, Yuma documented his every waking moment. Anybody would have done the same because, after all, a puppy doesn't have to do much to look cute. All he had to do here was play with his soccer ball and smile. Little Titus was already growing very quickly, and she didn't want to miss a thing before he grew into a full-size dog. By the time he was full-grown, it would be hard to imagine this was the same dog. Not only did Titus the dog have a huge garden to play in, he also had his very own swimming pool at Yumna's house. Alaskan Malamutes enjoy swimming, so she wanted to get him used to being around water as he grew into a bigger puppy. Pictured here is one of the occasions when they were trying to get Titus acclimated to the pool scene. He seems to be having a nice time. At this point, Titus wasn't quite ready to jump in and get all his fur wet just yet. He was just happy to get close to the pool and be able to play outside in the grass. Of course, Yumna made sure that this moment was documented too, with the pooch smiling for the camera. Little Titus always knew how to pose to get the perfect shot as he continued to grow at an unbelievable pace. It didn't take long for Yumna and every member of the Saluji clan to fall in love with Titus. He was growing cuter and more lovable by the day, and Titus felt like another part of the family. More likely, Titus now thought they were part of his. The pup never seemed to run out of energy. His favorite activity at this point was playing with all of Yumna's family members and friends all day long. His sweet face, adorable black eyes, perfectly fluffed hair, and pudgy little paws made Titus the most irresistible puppy dog out there. Could he get even cuter? Yumna couldn't have been happier with her decision to bring this Alaskan Malamute beauty home. He was the perfect addition to the family, even as he continued to grow day by day. Still, she had no idea what was about to be in store for her. As all dog owners know, it is normal for puppies to grow significantly bigger as they get older. Because of this, Yumna didn't suspect anything odd about Titus's growth spurts in the beginning. From the day she picked him out, she knew he was going to be a relatively big dog, like most dogs of the Alaskan Malamute breed. However, Titus seemed to be doing things a little bit differently. No one knew it just yet, but Titus's growth spurts started to take off and surpass other dogs of his age. He continued to grow and grow and grow by the day and was quickly reaching his full-grown size. Yumna was totally besotted with her lovable Alaskan Malamute and would love him in any shape, form, or size. But just how big was Titus going to grow? It would only be a matter of time to find out. As it turns out, Titus was fast living up to the meaning of his name, Great Giant Warrior. He continued to grow exponentially as he began to grow from a tiny little thing into a full-grown dog. Even though he was still a puppy, he had already reached the weight of a whopping 54 kilograms, 120 pounds, which is already huge for an Alaskan Malamute. Anyone who had seen Titus from the start would hardly recognize him now. The once tiny pooch was growing into what looked more like a majestic-looking bear or lion. Yumna had no idea Titus would grow to such a humongous size when she adopted him, but she adored him nevertheless and still thought he was the cutest thing around. Don't think his big size stopped him from acting like a puppy either. He loved to run, jump, and play more than ever, hardly aware of his size. How was she going to tend to such a big dog? For all she knew, he could get even bigger. A male Alaskan Malamute usually reaches about 35 kilograms, 85 pounds, and can stand at 65 centimeters, 25 inches high at the shoulder. In rare cases, the so-called giant versions can reach about 64 kilograms, 140 pounds, but their bodies are not designed to carry that weight. Clearly, Titus was way bigger and taller than the average Malamute, but no one anticipated he could grow to be the size of a giant Malamute when he was still just a puppy. So what exactly did this mean for Yumna? When it comes to hugs, Titus has never been shy. He loves jumping up to hug Yumna. The only problem is he towers over her with his giant size and all that fluff going on. At 2 years old, Titus didn't look like he was slowing down. To be honest, his size comes from all that magical fluff, Yumna told Get Leashed magazine. I don't think he will get any bigger now, and that's okay. I might get crushed if he does. The funniest part of it all is that Titus didn't seem aware of his own size. Yumna decided to make some use of all that fluff and fur by cuddling with Titus every day. Only a giant Alaskan Malamute like him could make the best cuddle buddy out there. He loves it so much that he smiles every time. Even though Titus outgrew his manageable puppy size very rapidly, Yumna continued to take pictures of her beloved bear all the time, enjoying the gift of having him. Continue watching to find out what happened after she shared her pictures with the world. Despite his enormous size, Titus continued to act like a puppy, blissfully unaware of his proportions. He climbed in Yumna's lap even though he couldn't fit. In fact, it's his resemblance to a big bear that made him into more of a sweetheart. While Yumna and her family got used to Titus's size, strangers in the streets started to notice this overgrown pooch and his abundant amount of fur. She feared people might get scared by the sheer size of her dog without knowing his personality, but people proved her wrong. Every time Yumna took Titus out for a walk in the streets to keep him active, he'd grab the attention of everyone who caught a glimpse of him. His fluffiness is the first thing that catches attention, then his size, Yumna told the dodo. She went on to say, "Wherever we go, even just for a walk around the block, we get stopped and asked about his size, age, and most often, what breed is he? I guess it's not often that you see a lion dog walking the street." With all this positive attention, Yumna wanted to share her beautiful Alaskan Malamute's beauty with the world, and you won't believe how. Yumna was super excited to share her beautiful Alaskan Malamute with the world, so she decided to create his very own Instagram page where she could upload different photos of him every day. She wanted to show off his dazzling personality. Titus the dog became a star with over 140,000 followers. If his looks didn't get your attention, his personality definitely will, Yumna said about opening the account. He has an amazing soul that earns everyone's affection. He's a little charmer, or a giant charmer. However, there was one other charmer joining in on all the attention. The Instagram account was created for Titus and all his shenanigans, but he shares it with his brother Trey, the Congo African gray parrot. In fact, the account is called Trey and Titus, on which Trey the adorable bird often makes random appearances. Yumna calls Trey the ruler of everything because of how he enjoys mimicking everyone around the house and sits there looking all regal. Titus is more of the big friendly giant in the house, but they do play together at times. Yumna absolutely adores her animals, especially when they play together and behave just long enough to pose for the camera. It seems like Titus here wants all the attention, and he believes the best way to get it is by gnawing off his mother's arm. It's pictures like these that Yumna chooses to share almost every day to capture all the cuteness and love of Titus the dog. He behaves like an overgrown puppy, goofing around all day. If you think you've seen it all, continue watching to see what else this big ball of fur gets up to all the time. Most of the time, Titus is a serious goofball. He loves to have a romp around with his stuffed toys when he isn't cuddling Yumna. Here, he is seen having a great time completely ripping poor little Mickey Mouse to pieces. Well, for such a huge and high-energy Alaskan Malamute, Yumna has to make sure he's always entertained with some kind of activity. Besides for Mickey over here, or what's left of him, Titus also has a stuffed monkey he likes to chew to keep himself busy during the day. There are a few more favorite toys Titus likes to play with. He especially loves his stuffed dinosaur and toy gun. We aren't quite sure what the overgrown pooch is imagining in this situation, but he sure looks content, probably because he beat the dinosaur at a game of cops and robbers. You might not know it at first glance, but Titus has a very busy schedule planned out for him all day. When he's not decimating Mickey Mouse or play shooting his purple stuffed dinosaur, the Malamute has some pretty serious business to take care of. When Titus isn't goofing about, he likes to help his mama Yumna get some work done. Just look at him appearing all sage and wise. He has those airs about him, as if he can advise Yumna about the ways of the world when he isn't acting like an oversized puppy. Well, the bigger the dog, the bigger the heart, right? No doubt. In Titus's case, it's true, and he's the best companion for all Yuma's escapades and adventures both inside and outside the house. He also happens to make the best driving partner. When Yuma has places to go and people to see, she takes her big friendly giant Alaskan Malamute with her for the ride. Titus the dog is just so big that people in traffic won't want to mess with her. Another benefit of taking Titus for the ride is that other drivers might get distracted by his size and beauty and allow her to skip ahead when no one is watching. The love between these two just knows no bounds. One of Titus's favorite things to do is chase and play wrestle Yumna to the ground. He tends to forget how big he is, and when Titus starts playing, the fluffy bear of a dog is always in it to win it. He looks massive next to Yumna, but it's probably safe to say we wouldn't mind having a wrestle with Titus either. We have seriously fallen in love with his one-of-a-kind personality and how adorably unaware he is of his size. Every time Yumna comes back home, Titus gets so excited he leaps into the air. He seriously looks like a flying bear. Just look at the smile on his face. Have you ever seen a happier Alaskan Malamute in your lives? We certainly haven't. This picture pretty much sums up the love between Titus the dog and his human mama, Yumna. It didn't take her too long to get used to his huge size. He probably has to eat a whole lot of food, but it's all worth it for her. Yumna is so grateful she picked Titus as her fur baby. She definitely didn't think she'd be taking care of a giant Alaskan Malamute, but his golden personality and his endlessly funny antics have only added to their special relationship. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and consider sharing it with your friends and family. Thanks again, and we'll see you in the next one.